want to ask you about the strengths as well in communities of color.
The
strengths.
Oh, the strengths.
In terms of dealing with trauma. I mean, people sometimes refer to it as resilience, of course, but I mean, what do you think, for example, would be a kind of a cultural strength that comes out of the Filipino experience?
We're fighters, and we know we will survive. And I think that's the resilience piece across ethnic communities. But I also think a strength is, if you do some of the decolonization, it is a very rich culture. But it's a culture where the idea of causality is very different, and I think that's a real strength. Maybe that's my mother's influence again, kind of saying it's better than mainstream. But I think there is a strength in being sort of a hybridized culture. So there's sort of this belief in Western notions and linear causality, but deep down, when you're in families and talking about certain things and people have let down, they don't have to prove anything, people oftentimes are still operating on a polytheistic sort of operation of causality. I remember growing up, my two uncles that were in the U.S. were scientists, both involved with the development of the laser. My father ended up as an engineer. My mother had a degree in chemistry. My aunt, her first cousin, had, I think, also a degree in chemistry. So it's a family of scientists. And I would be exposed to these discussions. They'd be having always discussions of math, science, chemistry. It's amazing I didn't want to finish chemistry. But in those same family get-togethers, there would be something like, now you remember so-and-so. It was said he spontaneously combusted. Now, is that possible? And it really would be entertained as a very serious question from the point of view scientifically, what would it take for someone to spontaneously combust, as well as kind of on a more psychic phenomenon level, what might that be about? As well as, so-and-so's hair turned gray overnight, same thing. So the family had no problem, my father had a problem with this, but the rest of the family had no problem going back and forth. It was quite funny. And those discussions really have, I think there was a tremendous strength of being able to go back and forth, because I think in the work that I've been able to do, whether it was around gender, trauma, whatever, I'm always going back and forth on between theories and systems, and it feels fairly easy because that's what we did. And I think that's what Filipinos do. I think that's what a lot of ethnic people do, because it's in order to really make it in mainstream society, you have to be able to code switch. You have to be able to do some of that fluidity. So I think that flexibility, kind of the cognitive flexibility, the experiential flexibility, is an incredible strength. And I think it's an incredible strength we bring to psychology.